Hey everyone, welcome to this week's reading of Shard of the Sun. We're picking up from last week with chapter 21, and we'll go ahead and jump into it. Gray stone walls rose up from the mountainside, jagged and worn with age. Farron stood in the ruins of what was once a sprawling courtyard. Most of the walls were still intact, with arched doorways that separated various rooms and chambers. Farron shuffled along, his staff bearing his weight. The place once had been beautiful with vaulted ceilings, but after countless ages the ceilings had crumbled and were gone, replaced with a clear view of the sky. Farron had both the sword Sarandra and the shard from the sun that he had stolen from Broderick. His trusted apprentice Vias walked behind him, carrying the sword. Farron himself had the shard. While he trusted Vias more than any other of his apprentices, he did not trust him with the shard. Sometimes power could not be given to another. It had taken nearly 3 weeks for them to reach the ruins. The Starforge Mountains were hundreds of miles from the frozen lands of Yurn, and for unknown reasons, magic could not be used to travel to them. Many speculated as to why, but none knew for sure. Farron's body was wasting away as it was, and the journey was especially hard on him. The shard had given him a feeling of being refreshed, but it was not enough. He wanted to see the full context of what the full extent of what the shard could do. And the one place that he thought could reveal its strength was here. Farron paused to run his hands along the marble pillars. Some of the stones crumbled at his touch. He could tell that no magic had been used to create the ancient stone fortress. Even long after magic faded, there was always residual energy left behind. Farron didn't feel any in this place. He marveled at the great lengths it must have taken to build the place. Many men had probably died in their attempts to bring the stones up the mountains. Gray marble that comprised almost the entirety of the place was rare and found only near the Great Sea. Farron had amassed a great wealth of knowledge, but even he did not know who was responsible for its construction. The old wizard stared out at the mountain range, the tall peaks stretching as far as he could see. This was a place of strength, of ancient history, and of powerful magic. The fortress had not been built by magic, but Farron could feel it in the mountains. Old magic, from a long time before his own. He withdrew the shard from within his pocket and clutched it tightly in his hand. Closing his eyes, he sent his consciousness flowing into the stone. He could feel the power wash over him like waves crashing on a shore. He savored the feeling for a moment before searching out the threads of light that were the consciousness of those whose lives were bound within the shard. He found Morrel, the head of the priests in Ravendale. Farron sent his thoughts towards his glowing thread. "Have you done as I asked?" A pause ensued, and then, "I have." "Good. I have another task for you. Send a contingent of 20 priests to the Starforge Mountains. They must be devout in their faith, unwavering, men unlike yourself. There are ruins of an ancient structure hidden in the peaks. Do you know of them?" "I do." "Send them here immediately. Have you tracked down the traitor yet?" Morrel's thread pulsed and flared brightly for a moment, then resumed its normal glow. "No, master. I believe I am close to finding him, however." "Good. Do not forget to alert me when you do." Farron severed the mental link with the priest and searched for the thread of the young girl. "Claire," he called out to her. "Yes," she answered. "Have you heard any word on your uncle?" "No, master." Farron allowed his irritation to travel through the thread so that she knew he was displeased. "Search harder. Have you tried to approach the necromancer?" "Yes, master. She remains hidden from me, but I do not think she is aware of my circumstances." "Try harder." He made his fury evident to her, then severed the connection. He pushed his mind through the shard, trying to find the thread of consciousness that seemed out of his reach. He could feel it on the fringes of the shard, but he still could not make a mental connection to it. Frustrated, he abandoned the attempt and retracted his mind from the shard. He hid the stone back within his robes and turned to Vias. The apprentice stood unmoving before him. "Prepare the ritual," he commanded. "It will take the priests some time to get here, but we need everything in place. Once we begin, we will have to move quickly. Once they realize what is happening, they will not stand idle." Vias nodded in silence and set about as he was instructed. Farron turned his gaze back out toward the towering mountain peaks. Located within the mountain at the end of the courtyard, there was a cave. It was no ordinary cave, as Farron had discovered many years before. In his continual quest for power, he had found many artifacts and strange he had found many artifacts in many strange places. He shuffled across the courtyard and entered the cave. It was formed naturally, but that was perhaps the only natural thing about it. The walls of the cave were inscribed with drawings and runes. The many drawings depicted strange creatures, some of which Farron recognized from Hell. The runes, after long hours of translation, were spells of all types, bindings and summonings, divinations and transmutations, enchantments and illusions, and even necromancy. There was one spell in particular that had caught his attention. He moved to stand before the runes of the spell, reading over it again. It required a massive amount of holy blood, or blood of priest, an item of immense power, and a willing soul. Farron had the shard, and the priest would be here soon. All he needed now was a willing soul. Bias was willing, he knew. Would leap off the courtyard and throw himself upon the razor-sharp rocks below if Farron ordered it. Yet he didn't know if he should sacrifice his remaining apprentice. Farron reached up and ran his finger along the runes etched into the stone. They were smooth and almost seemed to glow under his touch. The life of his body was almost at an end. He was so close. All right, that's it for this week. Hope you guys are enjoying the story still. I know that was a shorter one. The next two are short as well, so those two will be done in one video next week. And then we've got, I think, 5 chapters left. So closing in on the end, and it's been fun to revisit this one. I wrote this one a long time ago, so some of this stuff's kind of like, wow, I forgot about that. All right, anyway, see you guys next week.